Um, well, today's Stories with Yeng is gonna be a little bit different format. I'm afraid that I did not have any guests because I didn't ask for any. It's gonna be a solo podcast as described in the description below. Hopefully, no one will mind that. I guess my purpose for this podcast today is something on my mind, really. I've been dealing with for quite some time. And no, it's not depression or anything. It's not to an extreme, rather. It's actually kind of a recap on this past year, which I would like to convey to everyone here. And maybe, just maybe, people will understand where I come from. So in beginning this whole YouTube, I guess, it was based on a friend, and said friend wanted me to upload videos, and so I did, as an outlet to my own channel, which I thought would be fine at the time, and I enjoyed it, and clearly I posted many times the momentous adventures throughout Left 4 Dead 2 to Tabletop Simulator and many more. I enjoy it, but I didn't quite take it as a hobby at first. I thought it was a purpose to do for a friend of mine, rather than the other way around, where I thought maybe I can do it because I have friends, which will be the case for me later on from day one, which I happily remember as funny moments in Left 4 Dead 2 with David, Sasky, and Roy. And those were the first few friends that I made and made a video with. And it was quite the experience. I have many fond memories of that time. It was truly a happy time. And shoutouts to them for kickstarting my channel, I guess. They are truly a godsend. And sorry for the ill format. It's just a recap in the solo podcast. So yes. And continuing on, I was supposed to do podcast. Actually, the original idea of this whole channel was purely a podcast streaming service, rather than an actual edited gameplay footage or otherwise. But I'm afraid things just don't go quite as planned as I thought it was gonna be. So I ended up taking a podcast idea out of the frame and insert an editing path for me, which I thought was a really great experience because I finally got my hands on a software that I can easily produce videos, I guess, in my own fashion rather than someone else doing it for me, which is fine. I mean, being a one-man team is kind of like being your own boss, I guess, on YouTube, which is kind of a cool thing. But as I come to figure out that I think I might have started a little too strong rather than slow and steady, because I found out later on that I set the bar pretty high for myself to be able to produce videos, as I guess from my series, like I'll take my late night series with friends. From the very first starting videos, it was relatively straightforward, but as I went on and on, I came to the realization that I wanted to do more, and it just kept on escalating, say from like part 4 to part 8 or 7, I believe. And those were like the pinnacle of my status that I want to reach more daily, I guess. I just really want to be able to hit that type of stage in order to produce more videos in that similar format, rather than just like rely on the newer editing style that I have adapted today, purely because I cannot edit it. It's not because it's timing. No, I can multitask on that type of flexibility. It is just that I'm limited by a physical matter rather than a mental matter. Mental matter to me doesn't really produce any good unless it is productive. But um, it's kind of hard for me to say this other than just saying, yeah, it's a PC problems for me personally, and I'm afraid that it will continue until A, I get a better PC or start investing into one, which is an ultimate goal for me, as I place it in the description below, to support this new goal, be it a small amount or whatever. I just simply want to see a new goal and want to pursue this. Not sure if I'm willing to go full time. It's quite a commitment to me to be able to do this full time, and I've been at a decision for quite some time. And I've talked to this matter with many of my friends in life, both in real life and on Discord. To label a few, it'll be Jazzy, Geeky, and Catherine, as well as Hiro and Tony. I've spoken amongst these few individuals to seek advice, I guess, in order to pursue this idea that I have, and not sure when it'll be good enough for the greater majority of you guys, to be honest with you. I'm a very small YouTube channel, so that's trying to aspire to reach out to the greater number. And in this recap, as I explore it generally, it really is just me being with friends at the end of the day, and how we interact with one another. It's a one special moment type of deal that I can be able to share with them for them to remember. And one good example of that would be, I remember this specifically because Llama was there, Hiro was there, Antoine was there, through part 5 through 6, I believe. And it was quite a happy moment for me because I just met Hiro at that moment, which was pretty cool to me, to meet an Australian, because I never met an Australian predominantly ever. So it was quite the moment for me, and as well as to connect with Llama, because he's the exact opposite of me, which I thought was very very cool to have that contrast. And Antoine, despite our limited time, I appreciated his efforts into being a part of a memory that I will hold dearly. And yes, I know that we may have gone our separate ways, but at least I hold longing for those memories that I did have with them. It was quite the time editing Hiro's lines, Llama's line, my lines, and Antoine lines. And capturing it is probably one of the most ultimate privilege I ever had on the internet, to be honest with you, and sharing it amongst the world. Even if it's shared by a limited capacity or a massive capacity, that's how I view my videos, to be as one-to-one as possible. There's an order of editing that I like to follow, which is follow it in a chronological order, similar to like an episode on a TV show or a movie. And I tend to follow that regardless, instead of putting it into a montage, even though that was suggested many times by Llama. Llama always suggested that, oh, why don't you just do mini montages instead of like the tiresome and almost slave work you do on most of your edits, which is completely fine. I mean, he has the just right to doubt my skills on editing, because mini montages are quite easy to follow because they're short, they're straight to the point, and they're able to reach out to an audience without fully committing. But for me, I don't like following that path. I want to be able to put out long videos with intricate editing with subtitles. because I believe that I do have the patience to be able to commit to such high grading in a sort of way to be able to produce videos in that manner, even if it takes me a few days or even a week. Especially if I refer back to part 8 of my late night series with Smiles, Cat, well, not Catherine, there's a different person named Cat, and Commander Vex. I was truly endowed to follow a new editing style to bring it up a notch from my previous style that I had in the beginning with Zasky, David, Emmy, and Roy. So continuing that forward, I wanted to raise that bar, and following this type of format did take me a week, or at least a week and a half in advance to be able to upload it, because I really like spending my time on editing. And I don't know why I kind of go to that length. Like, why do you produce a video that probably will not be reached out and still edit? And that's a question I've been trying to answer for a very long time while editing, because that sense of purpose I need, rather than just purely been doing it just because I can, because that's how I felt like my whole path has been on YouTube, rather than actual, you know, fun. And it's not that I don't find any fun at all, because it's a preferable thing amongst friends that just has like these questions to me, like, oh, are you gonna record another video? Are you gonna be posting another podcast? Are you be able to get into other videos, or are you gonna be able to do like new games? And to answer all those questions, no, I physically can't. I'm kind of limited by my own physical mean rather than an actual mental mean. Believe me, I would love to be able to do those in the future, for sure. In the near future. I don't want to think of it as a long future, because there will be no point by then. But the reality is I have to sadly decline their request, because I don't believe that my expectations are being met because of it. So even now I'm kind of on the divide of struggling whether or not I could keep up with said high demand of myself, because I really want to be able to improve my fixation on editing, as well as maintaining a proper schedule on uploading. Even if it does take forever, I would like to maintain that type of scheduling. And it saddens me a little bit to even like do this podcast, because that's mostly what all I can do nowadays. I can't really risk editing a video in this format, because my laptop here, that has done a lot of good for me, just can't keep up with my high demand anymore. And it's not like I want pity from everyone, no. I just want to share these feelings out, because a wise friend told me keeping these repressed feelings and emotions will kill you one day. So I might as well just get rid of them here on this podcast and convey that yes, I do struggle, and no, I do not live an easy life, and yes, I even do get through cycles of an emotional state, so to speak. I do. I'm not inhuman, I am indeed human. Even though many people that I talk with nowadays always seem to have this fixation of me being a robot when it comes to editing, but that's not the case. I do struggle a bit, and there are good examples of it. In the first beginning, I didn't know what to really find the funny parts. I was kind of shooting in the dark, hoping for the best. But then when I started finding my own groove, I elevated to that style, which is fine for me, but I know it's not fine for you guys just to see me struggle. I know that's probably the last idea you guys want me to be in that state. I understand that, as many of my friends on Discord always supported me through and through and just say, do you. And nothing else matters. Like, don't even focus on us. Like, focus on you. And my honest answer to that is I say no. I can't. I never will. Because the main point of the whole channel on how I started was specifically from friends, not really from me. And is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. I mean, it got me off the ground and able to do stuff with you guys through time and time. And yeah, it does sadden me to even like fathom an idea of like denying people videos simply because I don't find them funny, or simply because it's too short, or simply because it's too long. J Dragon is a good example of it. He's a dear friend of mine that's been a Twitch streamer for quite some time, and I'm a pleasure to be a friend with him because he has written me into one of his book series, which I highly suggest to be viewed on my Discord server if you guys want to check it out. And I thank him for being able to see more progress in my videos rather than actual digression. Because he simply just told me, like, I want you to edit my videos because I see the potential in it. And I understand his argument as well. Like, it's not my first time people have asked me to edit. I have edited for other YouTubers that I've met who are long-term friends of mine on Xbox and PC. A good example would be Legend, or he's mostly commonly known as Utah Bun, which I edited his PUBG videos that he wanted me to do, and some of his Rainbow Six Siege videos, as well as a long-term friend of mine, Troy, or Wolf Titan on YouTube, where he does some highlights on Rainbow Six Siege. And I thought it was a good experience to learn through and through, as well as Ghost. There was a friend of mine named Ghost that wanted me to edit his footage for Halo, and I thought that was a cool experience as well because I was dealing with multiple content and to see where I can take it from there. And I thought that was a good learning experience throughout YouTube, like being able to collaborate with others and seeing how I can interpret it, because an editor can only do so much as the owner can. So I stuck with that, and they are happy with it. I appreciate it every single time. As well as another YouTuber channel, and they're dubbed the Rift Crew now, if I remember correctly. And I used to edit their Cards Against Humanity, as well as their Town of Salem videos, if I remember correctly, which I thought was really cool because it's a different type of game that I'm used to. So I thought it was really cool too. Through and through, editing videos was probably my primary business on YouTube anyway, rather than podcast, which was my original intent, but I did not choose that. I don't know what was going through my mind. Either I was seeking a challenge. Sure, I accepted it dearly, and look what happened. It managed to get to this point. But was it good enough? I don't believe so, because like I said, I felt like I started out too strong, and now I'm struggling to pick myself up again because of the higher demand. And that's a sad thing about my story. Like, he's only struggling because of physicality, not really because of, you know, drama or like the fun of it or the happiness of it or the sadness of it. It's just physical binding that just takes me in rather than actual things that might have put me down. Because in truth, there were times where friends were not friends. There were times where people doubted my reliability to being there, because I have taken some time to myself for paying attention to other things than them. And there also have been times where I do lose friends from time to time. There are times where servers are just not good anymore, and I do leave. And other times where nothing happens. And it's a depressing thing to say. Like, I want things to happen. I don't want to constantly be berated upon, just saying like, oh, Yang can't do this because he doesn't have time. Yang can't do this because he can't edit anymore. Yang can't do this because of yada yada yada. I want to do stuff. I want to be able to achieve something than just wasting potential and effort into people I invested my time with. And one of them was, if I remembered her name, Luna, who was a dear friend of mine that has appeared on several videos of mine. She was a good gal, she was. But things changed, and for the worse, she doesn't appear regularly, and she hangs out with other people, which is fine with me. I even messaged her recently that only come back when you feel comfortable. And I did edit videos for her as well, for her Portal to Shenanigans, if I remember correctly. And that was really a good example because I really cared for her. And sadly, seeing her drift off into something else, I can only support her. I can't really denounce her for doing something she thinks is right. And if she comes back to me, she comes back to me. But if not, then I will continue going down this path. Maybe we'll separate, maybe we'll meet again. Who knows? And I guess another one would be Glinda from the Rift Crew, because I had the good intentions of editing their videos. Believe me, I did. But sadly, there are no videos for me to see potential in making their videos on their channel. Yeah, it's a sad pill to swallow, but I want to be able to do stuff without hindering them as well, because they had to focus on their own content than my own. And I can understand that, but for me to continue moving on, I need potential videos that will make it. I can only make it so much more if they're willing to put their good intentions within it. Which is kind of a bullshit answer, just saying like, you don't think it's funny? And personally, yeah, I don't think it's funny. I mean, you can try. I mean, I can't make it better if it's gonna be this way. And I don't want to talk bad about any other channel. I mean, look at me. I mean, my channel is not meant to be on the Oscar award or anything. Maybe time will reveal to me that I will get there. I don't know. I guess my negativity about it is, can I really commit? Because I had a conversation with a close friend of mine about the commitment to doing YouTube, and he was very wise about it, and I took his input into account, that despite all the things we can do now than what we could do back then, and I understand his point of view, because he said people back then really didn't get an outlet until YouTube arrived, and that's when they started doing it regardless of quality, which I understand. And I take that into great account as well, because my videos are clearly not the highest of quality, but I can make it that. It's just nowadays most people are being able to output videos that are 720 60 frames a second or 1080 60 frames a second. That's the norm nowadays for streaming now, and the best of streaming is like 720 60 frames a second, which makes sense because you're able to do almost real time. You're able to do output it to basically clear quality that everyone can see, and I want to be able to keep up with that demand, but I know I can't because of physical matters, like I said. And it saddens me that most small YouTubers out there are able to do it, but I don't see myself as that, because small YouTubers are a niche market of finding something good and making sure it capitalizes on it, which I want to do, but not that moment. Like I said, this is just a negativity type of thing rather than a justified choice. Does it really matter to me? It does, actually, a lot. Believe it or not, I kind of hinge on that editing facade to be able to keep up with everyone else. Because it's such a high competition now that everyone can easily get on Twitch and start streaming the game and call it a day after a few hours and still be able to get supported. And I have to keep up with that now because anyone can do anything nowadays. Back then, you didn't really have much and you can do whatever you want, and people enjoyed it for what it is, which is what that wise friend of mine from a recent conversation said. Just do anything and upload anything, and you'll get it. You'll get that lucky break. But I can't stray from the idea of, right, I need to do this in order to prove forward, because he said I'm thinking too much of a high quality standard, and I can't stop thinking about that because I want to be able to do that in order to please myself. Is it limiting? Yeah, I mean, come on, it's limiting me to options that are clearly higher than I am. And that's probably creating this YouTube block that I've been having recently. Deciding whether or not I can really commit to that. I don't know. Maybe it's time for me to quit. Maybe it's time for me to move on. Or it could mean the downfall of Yang. Who knows? It's hard for me to decide for you guys. I can't force you to watch a video of mine thinking that it will be popular one day. That'll be rather cruel of me to ask for you guys to say just share my videos everywhere. I give you the liberty and freedom to do that, but I will never enforce it on you to do so. That'll be rude and unjustly to me. And if my video is found by others, it's found by others, and that's my honesty to them. Every video is one-to-one. Every video is a complete memory. Every video I make is completely up to me, and it's genuine. It is not forced. I never want to give up that unique quality, never will. And if it doesn't give me that many subscribers or viewer count or revenue, for that matter, then so be it. It's not like there's no other honest YouTuber out there. There's plenty. There's plenty out there. Sylvia Wumble being one of them. Markiplier being another. There's plenty. There's plenty of honesty out on here. You just have to find it. Maybe you'll find me. Maybe you'll find another. Who knows? The silver lining in all this is I'm able to convey these, I guess, repressed feelings I've been having into this YouTube block that I've been of recent. I didn't really tell anyone this because, well, it's unproductive, and I don't believe it'll promote said productiveness to everyone else. Is it wrong of concealing this? I mean, yeah, I mean, practically I'm lying in everyone's faces of not saying anything and telling them about these things, which I greatly apologize for. And me being the only one taking it all in and keep on constantly saying everything's gonna be okay, and understanding that I will always have the support for everyone else that I know on this space, as well as friends of Discord that needs me or wants me. I'm always there. And I always constantly state this quote to them, and they heard it many times. I will give you the time and effort for you whenever and wherever, so long as I can make it there for you. I will always make that time and effort for everyone. I'm not made for anyone. I'm not made to please anyone. I'm just here for you. Nothing more, nothing less of it. And we can go on a whole philosophical rant on this, but the moment is clear. I just stand by the people I believe deserve my time and effort, and if it does produce videos, it produce it. And if it does produce happiness, it produce happiness. And if it does provide a mean for entertainment, then so be it. It'll be there. And I won't lie, they always suggested new things for my channel to take in a direction that I can easily do, which is fine by me because, you know, why don't you do an ASMR channel? Why don't you do voice acting? Why don't you do, you know, narrations? Like, you have all these cool ideas, and I just can't simply choose one of them because they're all good. I would love to be able to aspire to do any one of those in a series. I would love to. Time is just the limiting factor for me, as well as physicality and mentality, and time for my folks, time for friends, time for Discord, time for even myself. So would Yang be able to reach it? I mean, he sure will. But can he guarantee it'll be good? Not really. I mean, there's plenty of stories to tell. There's plenty of ideas to go over. It's just a matter on when can he do it. It might be asking for too much from me to everyone else here. But I would like to believe that I can make that little difference somehow. And there's always a comforting quote that I always like to share with a certain friend of mine. No worries, everything's gonna be okay, and I always find a way. Somehow, I always find a way. So don't despair on this account of this solo podcast, guys. I'm merely reflecting on repressed things that I've been having on my mind lately that just needs to get out of my system to be at peace, I guess. It kind of reminds me of a fond memory of mine that I will always remember. It was during a Discord chat, and I was there with a few friends of mine, and I think we were playing a game. I don't know what game it was on that very day, but we weren't recording, and it was always a fun memory because I always reflected on the words I said that day. And I think it went along the lines of, someday I'm going to reflect on videos that I made in the past, and I won't ever delete them because I must remember where I came from, understand why I did it, and reflect on it, and be able to move along. Even if it will take me years to understand this message that I've been conveying from day one. Yeah, I'm bound to have that. And the original idea started this whole thing was not really through friends I met on Discord, but rather an old friend of mine. 10 years now. I will dub this person's name as Heather. Heather was a troubled gal, very expressive, and very supportive of me, to inhuman levels type of support. And I constantly thank her for being able to move on through life, even though we went through rough patches, even though we went through very tough moments in her life that I will probably never forget, but don't regret either, because I was happy to help her and regain her future, I guess, because she was kind of in a block herself. She didn't really know what to do. She kind of wanted to do things that just didn't make sense, and people should never ever think about it. But she changed gradually, slowly but surely, within my 10 years of her. I gave her the most support that she quoted, that you are probably the longest friend I ever had in my life, and I'm proud to be a friend of yours. It may seem exploitative sometimes of me just asking you or playing with you, and I always said to her, it is not. That's my whole purpose in life, maybe. Helping others, being able to do something regarding you guys. And in a certain way, I did. And she always joked with an idea of like, why don't you become a YouTuber? And I said, maybe in 100 years. And I guess I'm eating my own words right now, because a year has passed since I've done YouTube. And a year's coming along well, I guess. And I thank her for giving me that little idea. So, thank you to the person named, or dubbed, Heather. I really appreciate your company. And to more years ahead of you, I thank you. And I'm happy for you progressing into the future. Going to school and making your family proud of you, as well as me. So thank you, Heather. And it's not like she's the only inspiration. I could go on and on about people that have inspired me to do this crazy thing, to get away from negativity and all. Yeah, there's plenty. My family that have been there in my life, through and through. My real life friends that have always considered me the class clown to the smartest man ever. And to friends on Discord that I recently met that consider me a loyal friend, an honest friend, or a sophisticated guy. Yeah, I take everything into account that inspires me, for sure. I guess this is like a big thank you, I guess, from the bottom of my heart. Gosh, I don't know what to say. Maybe it's the simplicity of words that speaks for me. The actions I take, I don't know. Choices I made to get to those points, sure. Maybe. Well, actually, there is a timestamp that I set for myself. 2 months from now, I will end my first year. And that'll be the time where I will decide whenever I will go on to this idea or fade out as a hobby that just didn't cling on to me anymore. Because I used to do illustrations. I used to draw, but that hobby died out for me. Would I want to get back into it? Probably not anymore. But I commend those that still keep on to those hobbies, honestly. So power to you guys, and power to you artists, and to the many artists that I've met in my life. I highly commend you for being able to go through such an artistic value that I think is worthy. Honestly, props to you guys. But yes, within these 2 months I will have to decide. I know it's kind of short, deciding such a rash decision, but it is kind of my decision to do. And I have to make it up to that point. Doesn't mean that it's the end. Yeah, it could. It could mean that. But would it be regrettable for all the future memories that you could make? Not really. I still make them. I still rejoice on those events. It's just not being recorded and edited or posted. I guess my big message for myself from this reflection is, don't despair on such a tiny thing. Learn from it, experience it, then put it down on paper and show it to the world. Even if it might not be the best paper. Yeah. That's a good reflection. Well, I guess that's all of my repressed feelings on the inside, I guess. But I guess in terms of positivity, yeah, I'm hoping for a bright future ahead. Getting into school and making my family proud. Being the first son in the family and only son to be able to complete school. Yeah. But as well as continue to meet new people. Be it with many talents, skills, abilities. I just want to constantly meet new people. To learn from them, to admire them, or to teach them. I would love to experience those stories and share them. I guess that's my only wish. Having more time to be able to do those things. Even if it means sacrificing some time for myself. Yeah. I would love to have that special moment with everyone. And maybe with this new equipment, yeah, I would love to be able to produce more and better myself and making sure that every video is made to be unique and genuine to me. I guess that's the kind of the reason why a friend of mine, Legend, as I noted earlier, said to make a Patreon account or something because I would like to pay you for the courtesy you've done. And I just said to him that I do my editing for free for friends because they deserve my time and effort. And he just said, well, you just need to have an outlet for people that are willing to pay you. And I speculated on that idea for quite some time because I don't believe I deserve that right just yet. But as time moved on, I heeded his warning and decided to make a coffee account and post a goal for myself and hope to achieve it within the future. And I never imagined to be able to have the courage to press that button, but I did, and here I am talking about it. It is a little uncomfortable for me to blurt out it and just say like, oh yeah, I have a coffee account, like come donate, you know, your hard-earned money. Like, no, I can't force you to donate just purely because of it. I would like to have the sincerity and courtesy for everyone to at least watch my videos, at least watch any of the series and watch it until you feel that, oh yeah, this guy can definitely make it. And that's when I can truly accept it. But if it's out of the blue, then I don't know what you're really doing it for. You're kind of making a blind investment that might not, you know, pay back within the near future. It's a scary thought for being able to go with that foregoing money like it's nothing. Like it's a true privilege. It should not be taken lightly. So I would like to advise everyone that wants to support that idea and just treat it with caution. I guess for other positive notes, there's a new series that I've been trying to do, but I never got to it yet because I don't think it's rather appealing, I guess, to viewers because it's quite a difficult topic to talk about because it might get boring within like the later half because I don't believe it's quite enticing, I guess, in my opinion. So I guess that's a little teaser for what's happening in the future. I guess another one would be a friend of mine came up with this idea that I will be able to at least teach somebody something within like a time limit or something like that, which I thought was a really cool idea. And then there was another one where yeah, like people just suggested ASMR, which I won't do, and narrations and quote-unquote voice acting, which I don't really do all often. Yeah, maybe those series are good in the future. It's a positive note to look at because at least I have ideas to continue the Yeng channel. No, those are my thoughts, and I can't guarantee the future, so I cannot guarantee everything that I do for this channel as of this moment or even in the future. I can only hope that you guys would enjoy it and share it amongst others without me just telling you, I guess. So yeah, maybe this podcast got some things out of my chest and definitely got a view of how I feel, I guess. And this was a good and pleasant experience, actually. I thought it was actually gonna be a little lackluster and uninteresting, but you learn something new every day about yourself, I guess. I'm a big softie. Well, I guess this will conclude this podcast idea. Thank you everyone for joining. Maybe there'll be future soloing in the next coming videos, who knows. But I thank you all for giving me your attention. So, props to you all, and a big thank you to all the friends I met on Discord.